Hello everyone, my name is Aishwarya Srinivasan. Welcome to yet another episode of Weekend Musings. So today we have a very special guest who is my boyfriend. He also works for Google and his name is Aditya Suresh. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I think hey everyone, I'm Aditya. Aishwarya, thanks for having me on your YouTube channel. So yeah, Aishwarya and I were talking about how far we've come along since we started our journey, finished our undergrad back in India, and then came to the US, completed our masters. So we thought of sharing some of our thoughts, our ideas about how our journey was, and any tips and tricks that we can share.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were just like reminiscing our journey, and we felt a lot of things that we could share with you. Both of us went to different universities, and there's a lot of things that we can share, which might be helpful for a lot of students who might be planning their study abroad, not just in US but other countries. So without much ado, let's get into the first topic. That's why did we decide to study abroad? So Aditya, why did you decide to study abroad?
I think part of it was also the peer pressure. Like I know a
Fair.
lot of people as soon as I think I reached the third year of engineering, a lot of people started thinking about okay, what next? So for me, I knew that I didn't want to take up a job in India. I knew that I wanted to continue my education further. I feel like mainly because I was not sure what I wanted to do in my career. I felt like jumping headfirst into a career without knowing what I wanted to do would be a tough thing. So yeah, I was always interested. I was always interested in like going out of the country, exploring a new culture, meeting different people. So that was also part of the reason. But I also really liked the kind of opportunities or the kind of programs that some of the universities, especially in the US, had to offer. So yeah, I think around I started planning for my master's degree around the third year of
Mhm.
engineering. So I think I was pretty certain that I wanted to do it. So yeah, I mean, it was a combination of factors, but I wanted to hear from you as well. What made you take the decision?
Yeah, sure. So it's very interesting to see two different perspectives. So when I was in my undergrad, somehow I was very inclined to doing like data science and machine learning, and I always felt this resource crunch in the university that
Mhm.
people were not so encouraging about doing research because
Mhm.
they didn't have the money, or it was difficult to get funding, or like it was not something professors were very fascinated about because it was not part of their curriculum, right? So it was always very difficult for me to convince people that I'm interested in a project. And I always felt that in India it was a second wave of innovation that was coming in. And back then I was using LinkedIn a lot, and I would
Nice.
connect with a lot of people outside of India, and I would say, like, I would see that they're doing a lot of cutting edge work. That sort of like motivated me to go to a place where my work would be recognized as like as an innovation, and I would get the right kind of resources to do that. So that's where I felt like I should come to the US, because there were, like, for data science or machine learning, there were more opportunities here, there were more work here. So yeah, that probably gave me a thought that I should
Nice.
study abroad.
I think for me, one thing that I didn't particularly enjoy about my engineering degree was that it was very rigid. So I spent the first 2 years learning about subjects that I was not really
Mhm.
interested in.
Yeah.
Like I took up a degree in computer science, so I wanted like my coursework to be very focused on it.
Yeah.
And also I wanted to pick up like topics outside of computer science, like maybe a history class or like something in
Yeah.
arts. Like just wanted to explore things
Yeah.
outside of computer science, but I also wanted to customize my program. Like I wanted to be in a place where I could learn what I wanted to. So I felt like by the time I was in my third year of engineering,
Mhm.
that's when I really started getting into computer science, like getting into some of those focus subjects. So I felt like 2 years, like the third and fourth year, were not really enough.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted more. I wanted a more like focused program where I also get to like experiment with some other stuff,
Makes sense. Yeah.
customize it according to my needs, and
Yeah.
yeah, make the decision that I want about my career.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So the other thing that we want to talk about is like choosing the specializations, right? I think mine was very straightforward because I mean I was just doing one thing, right? Not a very interesting person,
Yeah.
people. I just know one thing. So I wanted to hear from you that like how did you decide on getting into information systems or like information management?
Yeah. So I think the thing about information systems programs, especially abroad, is that it's very different
Mhm.
in each university. Like every program is usually a mix of project or program management, a little bit of computer science or like software engineering, coding, all of that part, and also a little bit of other stuff like applied data science, for example, or like some like different fields. Like it's usually a combination of things. It's not a very focused track on like computer science or like coding. So I think when I was in my fourth year of engineering, I wanted that combination. Like I think a couple of career paths that I'd chosen was I either wanted to go into consulting or I wanted to go into like a data science sort of role, like a data analyst or a data scientist role. I knew that I didn't have the aptitude for software engineering. Like I mean, I knew that I didn't want to code, so I wanted something that was like not a hardcore computer science degree, but that offered a good mix of things. So that's why I took the information systems program, and I think the decision of especially joining CMU was a pretty good one.
So now that we are traversing there, like tell me why you chose CMU.
Yeah, so I mean, part of it was definitely the brand. I felt like Carnegie Mellon is a super recognized brand when it comes to computer science. People in India knew about it as well. It was a very familiar brand name, so definitely once I got in, it was also a safer choice for me. Also, I think I like the part that where you could really customize the program, and I think I experienced it when I was actually going through the program as well. Like most of the people who did the program with me, they're all like doing different things. Like I know a bunch of people who are like, software engineers getting into like FANG companies, like really focused on code and like software engineering aspects of career. And then there is another bunch which are like product managers or like they're in the big four consulting companies. So I like the fact that you could choose what you wanted, like choose your specialization, build your program. So I think CMU offered a great program. I also did a little bit of a sidestep, so I actually got into the CMU global program.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to like.
So I spent a year in Australia and then moved to the US. So my journey, of course, a little more convoluted. But yeah, I think at the end of it all, sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, okay, it was all worth it. It was also a life experience and not just a master's program.
I think I'll want to like ask you to talk more about your international program because it's very unique, right? Like not a lot of US universities offer this program. So you spent 1 year in CMU Australia and then did 1 year of course in CMU Pittsburgh. So like maybe you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think my program was what they called a global Masters in Information Systems. So CMU has a sister campus in Australia, where they also promote like IT fields and data science in the South Australian market. So they wanted students to be a part of the program there. So what they did was they created a global program where students would spend 1 year of their course in Australia, after which they do an internship, which basically you could choose any country. So I know folks who did their internship in Japan, in China, in Norway. So yeah, I mean, a lot of cool opportunities that you could explore there. And then you come into the US, take that internship experience, all the experiences in Australia, and then spend a year in the Pittsburgh campus.
Okay.
So usually what they expect is in the Australian year, that's where you do all your background courses or like the prerequisites that you need to complete your degree. Then you do your internship, and then basically the final year in the US, that's where you really kill it with your specializations and focus on job search and all of that. So that's how they are kind of designed the program. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was something unique. Like all my friends were either going to the US or Australia. I was like, okay, let's do both. Like let's make it like a life experience where I also get to explore another country. And yeah, I think it turned out to be great.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
I wanted to also hear your perspective. Like you made your decision. Obviously, you would have gotten into a lot of universities. Like, what made you choose the Columbia program particularly, or like what were the factors that were going on in your head?
Yeah, so few of the things, right? Like Columbia was probably one of the very, very few universities which was offering masters in data science. Now I think there are maybe like more universities that are doing that, but at that time, like 2017, when I was applying for it, very few universities, and Columbia was well recognized for their data science program because they had a specialized institute within Columbia called Data Science Institute, which was offering this course. So one of my reasons was that, when I looked at other programs which was doing masters in computer science with machine learning or like masters in computer science specialization in AI and things like that, that had topics like system design, like, computer architecture or algorithms, which I think I had a strong grasp on, and I didn't want to, like, again, spend that time doing it all over again. So I sort of wanted a program which only focuses on like advanced data science and machine learning. So that was one reason to choose Columbia. Second is, of course, like the brand name that it had. The third reason I feel like it's very important for me to highlight this is because it was in New York City, right? I feel location was extremely important. And when at that time, like, I didn't really think of it that way. I didn't like give it so much emphasis, but when I saw like other friends who went to other universities in more remote locations, I felt there was leg up for people who were studying in cities, because there were more companies in the city, so you meet a lot of tech folks there. There's definitely like more opportunities that you get when you meet these people in person. So that sort of is like very helpful.
Yeah, I think I like your kind of decision making approach. I think it's a stark contrast to what I was doing, right? I wanted a program which lets me explore opportunities, but you wanted something that specializes and has a narrow focus. So yeah, I think like studying abroad kind of gives you that flexibility of what you want to do. And I think you brought up a very important point about New York City, and that's my advice to pretty much everyone who wants to pursue a master's degree. If you don't get into the top 10, 20, 25 universities, choose the city, because the city is what unlocks all the job opportunities, all the networking opportunities. So for example, in a place like New York, even if it is a university that's probably not Columbia, not NYU, even if it's say a mid-ranked university, the opportunity to study and work and live in New York, I think that itself really has its own value. So that's what I advise people who are thinking about, hey, which country or like which city I should be choosing. So I wanted to also ask you, like, did you consider any other countries besides the US, or was it always?
I didn't. So again, like, this is something a lot of my friends ask me about, like, how do you decide the country? I think it's very subjective to which branch you're getting into, or like what profession. And US is not like fair, like one size fits all thing, right? Like, US is definitely like a more lucrative opportunity for people who want to pursue their career in tech. But if you're somebody who's in, say, architecture or like mechanical or civil engineering, there are like other countries or like other opportunities which might be better than United States. So I have a lot of friends who went to Milan to study architecture. I have friends who went to Dubai. I have a lot of friends who went to study robotics in like European countries, because think about it in an economic sense, right? Like, in Europe you get a lot of scholarship, so effectively you are making money even when you're studying. So that's also another factor that I feel one should consider. Like, how do you think about the economics behind you studying, right? You have to make sure that whenever you're getting into a college, you need to understand how much money is going to be spent. What is the opportunity that you'll get to make that money while you're studying? What is the kind of job roles that you'll get, and like what's the average pay that you'll see once you graduate, right? So that's one side of things. So yeah, like, what's your opinion with like studying abroad and like thinking about the economics?
Yeah, so I think for me, like I spend my time, like half of my time in Australia and half of my time in the US. So I can speak a little bit about how the market is different in Australia compared to the US. I feel like in the US, especially if you're a software engineer or like remotely into anything that relates to the IT field, I think the opportunities are plenty. Like there's also a lot of competition, but I feel like the job opportunities, especially post COVID, are really a lot. Like, you don't have to, if you have the skills, if you're able to prove uh during your interviews that you will be able to do the job, you will get a job. You don't need any other requirements. There are no such requirements that require you to have US experience. Even if you have a strong experience in India, say you worked as a software engineer at a service based company, like, you'll still get really good opportunities in the US, given that the market is just so large. In Australia, I feel one thing that I really liked about Australia was that they were very curious about data science and IT. Like, they really wanted to make the impact. It's just that the market itself doesn't exist. So you would be, anything that you're doing, you would have to kind of set your own path. So things like finding mentorship in data science, or like talking with experts in data science, that number might be fewer in Australia compared to the US. So in Australia, if you're really interested in, like, making a difference, I feel like especially the government of Australia, they were super interested in, like, introducing data science, machine learning, in designing their infrastructure and things like that. So I thought that was a really interesting opportunity. But just given the size of the market, I found US to be the better option for me. Just given that it's just a numbers game, right? There's more opportunity, more market, also more compensation. I feel for software engineers and things like that, especially if you live in the Bay Area or New York, for example. So
we are in the Bay Area, by the way. So yeah, a shameless pitch, as he was mentioning about mentorship. So I founded this organization called Illuminate AI, which is a non-profit organization. It offers mentorship for people who are interested to like build their career in data science and machine learning. So if you're somebody who are early professional or intermediate and looking for mentorship, please go check out the website. And if you are somebody who's like, intermediate to advanced and are looking to find mentees for yourself, there's a lot of resources that we provide with Illuminate AI. So people who join us as mentors get a lot of opportunities, a lot of free resources. We help them with leadership experience, like with giving them, like leadership counseling and other kind of networking experience. So yeah, if you're interested, check out the link. I'll put that in the description. Awesome. Now let's come back to the topic that we were talking about, right? When you were at CMU, what were the additional things that you were doing outside of your course? So like, what are the opportunities that international students can experience, or like what are your tips on what they can do?
Yeah, I feel like there are definitely a lot of opportunities that you can leverage. So it also depends on where you are. So the work permit is different in Australia compared to the US. In Australia, you can pretty much take up any job that you want. So if you're a student, you can work at McDonald's, you can drive an Uber, you can do whatever you want. But in the US, you're restricted to opportunities and jobs within your university, on campus. So honestly, I didn't do much during my entire CMU program, just given that it was so rigorous and maintaining the logistics of moving between Australia and US. Everything was really hard for me. So what I did during Australia was I did an internship between my Australian year and the US year. I did one internship, and in Australia, in US actually I got a plenty of opportunities. So by the time I reached my final semester, my course load was lighter. So I did a couple of graduate assistantships and things like that. But yeah, I didn't do too much. But I know you've done a lot of things during your master's program.
Yeah, so I think it was more of a not a choice. Colombia being extremely expensive, I had to figure out some way to, like fund myself and like fund my course. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I picked up a lot of research assistantships.
Nice.
So yeah, since early on, I did RAs, which was basically like funding my education. So that's another reason I had like more like very less time during the semester. So Columbia offered 16 months of masters in data science, and all the 3 semesters I was doing research assistantships. I was like doing capstone projects. So that was kind of tough, but I would say like one of the things I focused on, right, like I'll tell you my perspective. So I didn't want to like get into a research side of things, because when I started my masters, I was in the mindset that I probably want to like pivot towards academia and like research. But then when I started, I think I realized that my personality is probably more suited for industry, and like I wanted to pivot towards like leadership in the future. So I thought that industry specific roles would be better. And I realized that what is the things that's going to help me a lot in the university and outside the university, which was getting into open source technology or like getting into real world applications of AI. So those were the kind of opportunities that I picked up with the professors who were not completely academic. So these professors were, lecturers or like assistant professors who were also working at companies like Microsoft and like Facebook and like Google. So they were teaching at Columbia, and I was working with them on open source as like an open source contributor. So that was like very helpful for my career perspective. So I sort of like picked and chose the opportunities that I wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you did an amazing job. Like I think that's what like most people need to understand is like when you're applying for a master's degree in the US, the initial sum or like the cost of your master's program might seem like really expensive. But once you kind of get into it, as you start like working your way through the program, there's like plenty of opportunities to make money, either as a graduate assistantship, research assistantship. I know people who also gotten their tuition fees reimbursed. I think you got some,
Yeah.
you got a part of it
Yeah.
reimbursed as well. I know a lot of students who got like literally got their semester fees waived just because they did a graduate assistantship or a research assistantship. And I feel like once you graduate and then you get a job and like start making money in the local currency,
Yeah.
I feel like that amount starts to become like easier to digest.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
so yeah, I mean, like I think like your decision to choose a university, of course, should be economical factors aside. The primary factor should be around what is the course that you're trying to do,
Yeah.
and what are the opportunities in that particular market or country. I feel like those were my decision
Right.
points.
Absolutely. So there's also like one of the other things, Aditya, which people, ask me that, hey, why should I do a master's when all the information is available on the internet? Like I can just go to Coursera or like any other course website and do it, right? Like online. Like why do I need to do a master's program?
Right.
So I wanted to like hear your opinion as well, and like what was that experience that was an added value for you to go to a university versus if you were given the same curriculum online.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's a valid point. And in my opinion, like I think everything can be learned online. Like literally all the data science skills, all the programming skills, everything can be learned online in terms of just learning. But I feel what can't be learned is the experience of like living outside your comfort zone. So for me, like living with my parents in India, like moving outside that comfort zone,
Yeah.
moving to Australia, then moving to US, I feel like that was a life experience on its own. Like I could not have gotten that experience just by doing a Coursera course sitting in India.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I definitely feel the university experience is more than just the knowledge that you
I
receive.
agree. Yeah.
Like there's also like tons of events happening in the
Yeah.
university. So for example, like companies like Google, like all the big four consulting companies,
Yeah.
software engineering companies, there's like these huge career events that
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
So like career fairs where like literally the best of the best companies
Yeah.
are there
Yeah.
to like basically talk to you,
Yeah.
talk about opportunities that that they are offering and things like that. So that gives you that direct access, right?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
definitely I feel like online courses are great for you to upskill,
Yeah.
like when you're already doing something.
Yeah.
But to get a foot in the door
Yeah.
to that next job or
Right.
the next opportunity, I feel like having a university degree
Yeah.
definitely helps.
Yeah.
And I feel like the importance of university brand name is kind of overrated in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah.
helps
Yeah.
if you go to a top 5
Yeah.
university, but I feel like what matters more is just the experience itself.
Yeah.
Like being
I agree.
in
Yeah.
a city like New York, networking with like professors who are like who are actually pretty much invented the field. Like I had folks in I had professors in CMU who are pretty much like they're the father of machine learning, or like they invented the captcha, for example, like things like that. Like you won't be able to learn from these folks just by doing a
Online course.
Coursera course. So I definitely agree that the material itself can be learned, but the experience cannot be learned by an online course alone. So that's my opinion. But I want to hear from you.
I think like I 100% agree with like everything you mentioned. Like on top of that, I believe like what really helped me is networking, right? Like networking with people, because professors whom I met face to face, like with whom I had a fun conversation, not just about work but outside of work, just getting to know them, like people whom from the outside world seem as if they're absolutely unapproachable because they're like some big shot in the machine learning world, but I could just sit with them and chat over a cup of coffee, right? And that sort of like built a relationship. I'm not just talking about like networking when you just like meet for an hour and just chat, but this relationship is something which I've held on to from 2017 until now, and hopefully like in the future. And they have always vouched for me because of that relationship, because they knew my work inside out. So I think that experience that you get in the university, you meet friends, like you make a lot of friends who are like you can collaborate with them and like build your own company. You can collaborate with them and like build some major project, or just like do something fun, right? Like that is probably something which you're not going to get sitting in front of a computer and trying to learn something. So the added value is probably all this other things apart from just the course curriculum that we're talking about.
Agreed.
And I mean, like you're going to meet people who one day will be like top CEOs, and like hopefully you'll be one as well.
Especially especially with MBA degrees, I think that's the biggest selling point, that you get to build the network, like your class. Like I feel
Exactly.
like when you do a when you do an MBA at
Yeah.
Harvard or like Booth, for example, just the folks who are in your class are going to be the next leaders or VPs in
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
companies. So later in life, like not just after you graduate, like landing that first opportunity, even like 10 years
Yeah.
down the line, like you might need like help from someone or like
Yeah.
mentorship from someone, and
Right.
these folks are going to be the leaders or like
Yeah.
the stalwarts in
Exactly.
companies, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like having that network is something that definitely, like, I think that's
Yeah.
obvious. Like you definitely don't get that with an online
With an
course.
online
Yeah.
course, I agree. So yeah, I think the next part is like once we're in the university, now we have to find a job or
Yeah.
an internship. Like that's something
Yeah.
which is, a sword hanging on top of your head
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
time, because now you're in a new country, and especially for international immigrants, right? You're in a new country now, you don't know how like recruiting works, or like how interviews work,
Right.
what kind of things are you judged on, because there's a lot of difference. Like for me, the way I used to build my resume in India was completely unacceptable, or like was not very desirable in the US. So I had to reframe the things I mentioned, like, or like revamp the way I was presenting myself. So yeah, I can just like give a few tips about like what really helped me to get the internship that I had at IBM. So I don't think I ever waited for the career fair, or like I never waited to apply for an internship till a later phase. What I did was, again, like I'm shamelessly pitching that I was very active on LinkedIn. So I used to build a lot of my network, just talk to people on, hey, like, what are you doing? So what is your team doing? And those kind of things. So when I was talking to a lot of people on LinkedIn, and like, just having this network of mine, I got to know about a lot of opportunities. So like when I was in my first semester itself, I was connecting with people, and they would be like, hey, like my team is doing XYZ things, and they are opening up for data science internships. So if you're interested, let me know. So those things really helped me, and that's what like landed me with an internship. So yeah, I didn't really go through the career fair, but that's one of the major places where people find their internships. So I would say that instead of cold emailing people, there's always like two-way street that you can bring when you're looking for an internship or a job, because you need to connect with people, understand what they're doing, tell them why you are interested, tell them why you can add value to, like, by being part of that team, and help them understand that what is the value that you're bringing onto the table, right? Like that's when they'll be interested to talk to you and like to help you through your career. Otherwise it's very selfish to just expect somebody to just give you a job or like give you an internship. So yeah, that's just something that helped me.
Nice. So yeah, I think one of the things that that students need to understand about job search, especially outside of India, is that it's a level playing field. So in India, typically like the top companies will only come to what is termed as tier one colleges,
Yeah.
tier two colleges,
Yeah.
tier three colleges. So just because you're not in a tier one college, you're already disadvantaged.
Yeah.
It's not a
In
level,
India.
yeah, in
In
India.
India.
It's
Yeah.
not a level playing field.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas in the US, it doesn't matter if you're from, say, a Columbia University or if you're from like a middle ranked
Yeah.
university. What matters is your skill set and your
Right.
ability to network. That's where, like,
Right.
especially, I mean, you're, I guess, the master of networking given your LinkedIn presence. But yeah, for I feel like just the moment you land in a particular country, like I think getting an understanding of how the job market works, it's quite different in countries like US, because companies don't typically come to your campus to interview people.
Yeah. Yeah.
My job was an exception. I'll come to that later, but typically companies just come for career fairs. They hand out information about their roles, and then it's up to you.
Yeah.
They don't come with like, oh, we need to hire 10 people,
Right.
we need
Right.
to hire 20 people,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
They don't have any such measure.
Yeah. They're
So
basically
just because,
just advertising.
exactly,
Yeah.
so just because you got into a university doesn't mean that you're going to get that dream job just because
Yeah.
you were at,
Yeah.
say, Carnegie Mellon.
Yeah.
It
Right.
doesn't work like
Yeah.
that. I know folks at Carnegie Mellon, pretty much my entire batch, like we had to really fight hard for a job. Like
Yeah.
I feel like most people didn't have a job till they actually graduated. So
Yeah.
it's a struggle. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter which university or which brand name college
Yeah.
you're part
Makes
of.
sense. Yeah.
So I feel like once you land in the country, or speak to your seniors or speak to your peers who have been successful in the job market. Get a sense of when their company typically comes and interviews interviews for roles. So I know, for example, in my university, all the consulting roles
Yeah.
only hired in the fall semester. They
Makes sense,
wouldn't
yeah.
hire in the summer.
Yeah.
It's just how the calendar works.
Yeah.
So getting ahead of that, knowing that information
Yeah.
beforehand, that hey,
Right.
like the big four companies are going to be hiring in the next 2-3 months.
Yeah.
That gives you that time to like polish your resume,
Right.
speak to people, and like
Yeah.
get going.
Yeah.
And then I remember a lot of like product companies typically conducted their interviews towards the end of the year, towards the spring semester,
Okay.
for the summer
Yeah.
roles. Like they would
Makes
not
sense, yeah.
come early on in the
Early on,
academic
yeah,
year. Like
yeah,
they
yeah.
come towards the end.
Right.
So that gives you time to like, hey, like I need to prepare, I need to do some lead coding, or I need to like prepare on my software engineering skills,
Yeah.
because say Google is coming.
Yeah.
Or like Google is not coming to the university, but they hire
Yeah.
for software engineering roles in the spring semester.
Yeah.
So that gives you some time to like prepare
Right.
around it. I also
Right.
feel like in terms of resume building and things like that, I in my opinion, the career counseling department. Yeah.
Personality, like I
Yeah.
don't know, like it's personal development and
Yeah,
leadership,
something like
career,
that. Yeah. So they're typically assigned to like help you
yeah.
craft your resume and things like that. They are not responsible for landing you a job.
Yes.
They
Unlike
are
India,
yeah.
the US universities do not guarantee you a job,
Yeah,
or
they
they
do
are
not.
not responsible at all for your
Yeah,
job.
there's no such
So,
thing as
yeah.
there's no
So-
such thing as a placement cell.
Yeah, there's no like placement cell. So another thing
Yeah.
you will see that in Indian universities they brag about, like, what's the highest like
Yeah.
CTC that people got, and that's not something US universities care about, because they say that, hey, like if you're skilled enough, you're capable enough, you can get yourself a
I've
job.
also
So-
noticed that there's no confidentiality when it comes to like salaries in India. Like people are like, hey, this
Yeah.
guy got like 25 lakh salary. I'm like, isn't that confidential
Yeah.
information? I don't
Yeah.
want my salary
to
out
be, yeah,
there.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, in the US, I feel like confidentiality is also a big part. Like one thing
Right.
that I noticed was very different was, hey, nobody knows my grades.
Oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely, yeah.
Grades are something that is confidential information. It's not put up on a notice board.
Yeah.
Rank 1, rank 2, rank 3. That
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
doesn't
that's very
exist.
stupid. Yeah, I think
Like
that was very stupid.
I think that was amazing. I thought that, hey, like say if I'm not doing well, or if I'm
Yeah.
struggling with a particular subject, why should that be public
Exactly.
information?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I feel like that
Yeah.
was something that was very different for me as well. So US universities do post like median salaries, highest salaries,
Yeah.
but there's typically not a name or a
There's no
company
name, yeah.
attached to that.
Yeah, nobody is, like
Yeah.
nobody's put on the banner saying that,
Yeah.
hey, this person got the
Yeah,
highest
never-
CPC of like, XYZ amount.
I have never understood that, but anyway, that's what it
Yeah.
is.
So yeah,
Um,
some US culture we love.
yeah, I mean, yeah. So anyways, coming back to the point, I think the career counseling service is very good with like crafting your resume and like getting it in the right format.
Yeah.
That US companies expect.
Yeah.
So I think
Right.
definitely consult your career counselor early on.
Yeah.
And then speak to them about like what your challenges are, what kind of jobs you're looking for, and things like that. So they are typically
Right.
very well informed to give you all the information that you need
Yeah.
to succeed.
And I think like it's very important that as students, right, like you should use or like leverage as much as the university services as you can. So like every university has like the career council cell, right? Like they help you with career counseling. A lot of universities like every university has like mental health councils which help students when they're going through a tough time with the courses and everything. So there's like a lot of services that universities offer, and I feel like that's one area where people are not very well aware of how to like utilize all the services that you get from the university. Like there's alumni cell, right? Like there's an alumni council which can help you connect with your with the older students at the university, and there's like a research cell. There are like a lot of labs in the university, which could be outside of your institute, like which could be outside of say computer science or data science institute, but you can definitely find opportunities there, or you can find help there. So like I would say just utilize and squeeze out all the opportunities that you can get out of the university when you are there. So like just being aware of everything that's available to you at the university is like very important.
Agreed. All good points.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, last thing, we both of us like were in the East Coast until like early last year, and then we decided to move to the West Coast, and yeah, life has changed for good. There's a lot of sunshine here compared to the East Coast, so
For sure.
that's something we love. and it's awesome for people who love outdoors. So I think in the next video we can discuss about like just work life in US, and what are the other things that we do outside of work, like how does work life balance look like, and yeah, everything around that. Is there anything you want to add?
Nope. I'm excited for what's coming up. Yeah, I'm glad to be a part of more videos, and hopefully, yeah, we can continue the conversation.
Yes,
Awesome.
hoping to see him more in the video. I think he brings a lot of glamour. So awesome. Thanks a lot, everyone, and see you in the next video. Hello everyone, my name is Aishwarya Srinivasan. Welcome back to my channel, and today is yet another episode of Video Guys. Today we have a very special guest. He's my good friend, or he's my friend. So we're discussing that, his name is Aditya. So today we're discussing about our journey in international request, and this is one topic that we were discussing, and we felt that hey, like a lot of things would have been good for us to know in this journey, the students, and things that really helped us do it. So he also was Google, and yes, he's my good as well. So yeah, let's jump into the topic that we talk about.
Actually, let me hold on. Can you restart? Can you let me introduce myself? I feel like I've been quiet for a very long time. So
okay,
just
ठीक है,
start.
I'll
Okay,
start.
just stop the
ठीक है.